Welcome to FANBOY Modeling School.
So we got, first up, man, this is something that just broke recently, this week actually. It's been bubbling, rumored about, in the rumor mill. So we got 3 Spider-Men, potentially, right? We got all 3 of the Spider-Men: Holland, Garfield, Maguire. We're still waiting to hear Maguire if he's signed the contract or not. And then, let me preface this part by saying that I, for the first time, can honestly say I enjoyed the Spider-Man movie when it came to the Tom Holland MCU adaptation. And I'll defend my stance in a second. But we got Doctor Strange being introduced into the Spider-Verse. I think this is a masterful move on Marvel's part, especially if the deal goes right or left with Sony, right? So let me tell you why I enjoyed the Tom Holland Spider-Man movie. I feel free to correct me at any point.
But movies, there's 2.
The movies, yes. Okay. Let me say movie, because Homecoming was what it was, right? You got to be honest about history. It did well. It was a great way to introduce him. To me, though, that movie was just one long Disney Plus episode.
Yeah, and I was trying to chime in or whatever. So I actually took some Sunday school students there.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, at a certain point, I was like, I am bored. And I looked over, and they were all having the time of their lives. They're all junior high school kids.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, man, this is for kids. This is like for serious kids. And it did not vibe with me well. But there were so many antics, like so many teenage antics. Kids love it.
Yeah, no, it was the perfect pitch for a kids movie. I saw it in Santa Ana with one of my good friends out there, and it was, again, we're 2 older guys. We walk into the movie theater, get our seats. I look around, it's nothing but 16-year-olds, and the first thing that comes to my mind is, I hope they don't think I'm that weird old guy. But it was what it was. I thought the Vulture stood out really good. Michael Keaton was great in the movie. It set us up for some other stuff. Now, Far From Home was obviously the best, in my opinion, the best Spider-Man movie that's ever been made. The best. Hands down. There's no
really? Okay.
Yeah, there's no debate. And I'm not even talking about it for a fanboy standpoint. There are a few things I need to do to quantify it. It's obviously not main universe Spider-Man. First thing, you got to say that, right? I thought it was amazing to watch how he adjusted to not having Tony Stark in his life in this movie. I thought it was great to see Mysterio introduced as a villain and not as some weird Elseworld guy who's trying to make things happen and be his friend. I thought they took a B-level villain like Mysterio, who in the comics has had some great moments, and they gave him a real good story and a good send-off in that movie. So I really enjoyed that. But I think Kevin Feige understands that he's got a problem on his hand, right? He's still got a fairly young Spider-Man in regards to the timeline. And he also has to address a continuity issue, which is, maybe I'm the only guy to notice this, but we all do realize Doctor Strange completely set Iron Man up to die, right? Like, he set these things into motion. And they're gonna have to address that. And I think this is gonna be... Go.
Okay, I don't know which one to attack first. But here's the thing.
Then let me finish before you attack. I think this is going to be a great movie because I don't know how much time they're going to spend on it, but they're going to have to address the fact that Tom Holland's character, Tom Holland's Peter Parker, is going to want to have words with Doctor Strange. I think also it's going to open up the multiverse. I think this is going to be great, man. I know there are a lot of people that had issue with what they refer to as Iron Boy and their reference to Spider-Man and Iron Man's relationship, but I would like to challenge you with a legal term that most of you people would be familiar with. You're idiots. This is...
I really thought you were going to break out a legal term.
You're idiots. We're talking about Spider-Man. I challenge you to find me an arc in his comic books that isn't idiotic. For nearly 50 years, they've brought us idiotic arcs in Spider-Man, and I'm not going to hear any different now that you want to hoist them up on a gold pedestal. You may
so I am having flashbacks to when we were young, and when we were young, you used to always have the argument that Wolverine would destroy Spider-Man, and Spider-Man was a piece of garbage and incapable of anything, and yada yada yada, and he's garbage, and Wolverine was king or whatever, right? It was absurd. But what I'm saying is, first thing I want to say is Doctor Strange did not set him up to die. The thing is, Doctor Strange looked at the 14,000 different universes, versions, and they survive only one of them. And in that one, Tony dies. So it's true he sacrificed him, but everyone else was going to die, and the galaxy was going to die unless he did that.
Hold on for a second. Let me just correct you here, good buddy. You just acknowledged that he sacrificed him. I'm not saying it was the wrong move. I'm saying that it happened. And you have to, that has to be acknowledged in the story.
I admit. Okay, I admit that.
And the second thing is, Wolverine is a superior character to Spider-Man in every way. Not physically, right? Spider-Man's got the Boy Scout factor, which is just another juiced up way of saying Batman has prep time. It's it's nonsense. It's nonsense.
Okay, so the other thing is Mysterio being you said like a C-level villain?
He's a D-level villain.
That's insane.
No. It's.
I don't think you've ever read Spider-Man because I've had some crazy plot lines.
I've read Spider-Man before, but have you read Kevin Smith's adaptation of Daredevil?
I hate it.
But
Guardian Devil. It's called Guardian Devil, and it's garbage.
So listen.
Kevin Smith ain't never written anything worthy. Like, Clark's was good. That's it.
Allow me to approach this the same way you would approach theology. I'm going to use that to reference Mysterio. Mysterio and this is a canonized book, is referenced as a D-level villain to deal with and I'm sorry to all my my Daredevil fans, a D-level superhero. A street-level guy. That is the whole pitch of the book. That's the whole pitch of the book. Now, that doesn't mean that he's not great, but in regards to the cosmic landscape of Marvel, Mysterio is a weak character that was made great in instances and written well in a few instances, but his overall history in Marvel is that of a failure. Like Newt Gingrich, he is a failure.
So he is one of the founders of the Sinister Six.
Losers, the whole
which
team.
Is one of the greatest villain teams that ever exist, okay? Mysterio has convinced people of everything that is not real is real, and he doesn't even have a superpower.
Absolutely. Just because I'm saying he's a D-level villain doesn't mean that his character hasn't been written great, but the fact of the matter is he's still a D-level villain.
Well, okay. Actually, I'm about to get you right now. Okay. Oh, my God. This argument is already done. Did you read Old Man Logan?
What did I say? He's had moments of greatness. Written in greatness by a superior writer.
So do you remember what he did to Wolverine?
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. I'm willing to accept all of that stuff. In regards to this movie that's coming out with 3 Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, I think this is going to be really cool to see how they do this. But if you come in with that same old, not you in particular, not to disparage anyone else, but if you don't divorce yourself from the fact that this is not your Marvel 616 Spider-Man, that's the first thing you got to let go when you walk into this. Now, if they really wanted to make this movie fire, they would find a 4th actor to play Peter Parker from the 616. Because it can't be Garfield and it can't be Maguire. You got to bring someone else in.
So, I agree with you. I'm totally agree with you that I was thinking about, like, originally when Homecoming happened, I did not like that he was so different from 616 or Ultimate. I was like, who the hell is this guy? He's obsessed with Iron Man. His friends are Miles Morales' friends are his friends. I mean, what is going on? Mary, he likes black chicks. Not that there's anything wrong with black chicks, but 616 Peter Parker doesn't with black chicks. It's obvious. But however, after the second one, I realized what happened. And it's what you said. They made sure to divorce him from any other Spider-Man because there's already been 2 franchises. They need to make him himself. And they did a good job of that.
Yeah.
And after a while, I was like, well, this is actually good. I'm actually enjoying this. So what it is he's totally different from 616. He's totally different from the last 2 franchises. But I like that they made him different.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's a good pitch because even if I thought they were going to go Ultimate Spider-Man, which you put me onto, by the way, which is one of my favorite adaptations. And I want to be clear for our listening audience. This has been a running gag with me and Roy for years. I am not the biggest Spider-Man fan, but I've seen moments of greatness and a pretty weakly written character over the years. But the Ultimate version of Spider-Man I thought that's the direction they were going to go in the movie, but then they switched up and they said, we're going to do this. And I thought that was a good move. And I think this is going to be a great move for the MCU. And I know you and I can both agree on this, and not being an MCU stan. This is a good move for Sony, right? Because Sony is like they're like Lenny from Mice and Men, right? They're like, oh, we got this beautiful little mouse in our hand. What can we do to snap its neck and then kill it and then try to say it was Kevin Feige's fault? Which, mark my words, is going to happen to Venom. That movie succeeded because there was a lack of content out when it came out, and then they're going to do the same thing to Morbius. So this is like this is their only chance right now.
So you've heard the rumors that they've that on the site they're playing a trailer. They're saying Sony's playing the same Morbius trailer, but there's no Michael Keaton in it anymore.
I know, you were telling me about this the other day.
And it's because even though like it hit YouTube, people already see that shit. They took it off the official trailer that's on their site, and people believe that like it was a whole reorganization of how things would happen. Originally, Spider-Man 3 was not supposed to be a multiverse story,
right?
But because of COVID, they had to reorganize depending on how much filming they had done, which movies could go when.
Yeah.
And so it goes before Multiverse, and it was supposed to come after Multiverse originally. So what they decided is they're like, well, this will be. So basically, the idea is that like when WandaVision finishes, she's gonna lose her mind, and like House of M, she's gonna be like, change the galaxy, change the universe with her magic. And every movie after that is gonna be affected by the multiverse damage.
Okay.
People that you thought you knew are different, and things are slightly different, and you're like, what's going on? The universe is falling apart. And so that's going to be, it's not going to be Black Widow. Black Widow just happens to fall after it because it was delayed for COVID.
Right.
But that's like a prequel or whatever. That takes place right after Civil War, before she Black Widow hooks up with Captain America. But the other ones like Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings, and Eternals and Spider-Man 3 and Doctor Strange are all going to be affected by this, right?
I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at the thought of Wanda being the big bad or the result of like what. Let me pose a question to you, right? Serious question. How many more times can they do the same big bad storyline in Marvel, which is the big bad and his billions of minions, right? So they got to do something different, right? Because no one wants to see them fight another army of, right? Like there's got to go for it.
So here's what it is. Before it happened, and I want to be put on record that I thought of this before the movie was produced.
Okay,
but. Avengers 1 was them fighting an endless wave of aliens.
Yeah.
And so I said to myself, I was like, well, they need to make it different for the second one. They should make it the Masters of Evil. Whether they call them that stupid name or not, it should be their old villains coming back to with them.
Yeah, right.
And then you get to see two teams, a superhero team and a supervillain team, and how they fight. But instead, Josh Whedon once again, he's like, and Ultron will have thousands of mindless soldiers. And I'm like, this is the same finale as the first one.
Yeah.
And so I saw that mistake, because think about it this way. They have Civil War happen before they had a Masters of Evil. So therefore, we get to watch two hero groups beat each other up before they ever beat up a villain group.
Yeah.
Does it make any sense?
No, it doesn't. But let me just let me tell you something, right? Josh Whedon, you and I have talked about this before, and that movie worked in spite of him. And we are on record of saying this. I remember we talked after Avengers came out, and we both kind of murmured around the same thing, which was like, I don't know if Josh Whedon was really needed, right? He did his job, but it really showed in Age of Ultron that he wasn't needed any longer, right? And I love Josh Whedon, man. Don't come for me. I've been watching Buffy and Angel. I was a Josh Whedon stan before you people even knew who he was. But Roy's right. He followed the same formula, and it sucked. And you know what else sucked about that movie? Was the fact that the original plot leaked on the internet, and instead of just doing what they were going to do anyway, like, hey, you guys got us, but now let us give you the visual representation. I'm referring to, of course, Hulk. You broke me on this story. Hulk fighting Ultron, and then that's how he ends up on
in space.
Which would have made so much more sense and would have had much of a deeper impact. So instead, we get this nonsense with him and the Quinjet, with the throwaway relationship of Black Widow, which they didn't even have the courage to follow up. And it was stupid. I think that Civil War actually, and I agree with you, they threw a punch at each other before they threw a punch at any other villains. But we needed Civil War to kind of reset us on everything.
Actually, that is why Captain America lost his third outing.
Oh, really?
Is that fight? What it is? So many people were pissed about Avengers. You know, here's what I'm saying. I'm not gonna front where people saying they were hating the Avengers, but what it is it was getting like 70, like between 70 and 75% ratings on critic sites. Yeah. And like, it's an Avengers movie. And people just love, like, people gave Thor: The Dark World like in the 90s just because it was an Avengers movie. That is a piece of garbage movie.
It's a horrible movie,
right? And what, you realize how upset people must have been to get 70. That wasn't good. And Feige was like, I need to readjust. So we need to have a mini Avengers movie to make up for that.
Yeah.
And so he was like, and here's what it is. I first hated that Captain America wasn't getting his own last movie. However, Civil War was amazing.
It was a masterpiece.
I can't say that was a bad movie. I can't say that. I was so glad I saw that. Basically, we all know that was a fake Avengers movie. But it really is. It's Captain America, but it's really an Avengers movie. It was all because of the failure that Age of Ultron was.
And I think, and that's where I think that Spider-Man. So the thing about it is, I'm glad the Russos aren't attached to this project. Not because I dislike their work. But I really do think that if this is the last outing for Spider-Man in the MCU, which I don't believe anymore, by the way, I think that was all a ploy to pull us all back in. It was a way for Sony to evaluate how popular the character was with the MCU, and they got exactly what they wanted, right? They got what they wanted from Disney, and they got what they wanted from us as fans. But I think that this movie is going to be vital because it's going to obviously open us up to a few other things, right? Like, we may have to say goodbye to Spider-Man. We may not. We might. I think it's gonna be cool.
So before there was before there was multiverse things going on, I surmised, I theorized that because I feel like, and pardon my French for everyone who's listening, I believe they were lubing us up for Miles Morales.
Yes.
And I honestly think that he was going to fight the Sinister Six, but he was supposed to die at the end of it. I'm not so sure now because it's a multiverse.
Yeah.
I think they definitely changed that script. They definitely started rewriting that script. But I honestly think that Tom Holland's tenure as Spider-Man is going to come to an end very soon.
Yeah.
It might not be at the end of 3. I'm not sure. I don't know. It depends. It'll be a surprise. I'm willing to see whatever happens, because contractually he's up for only one more movie after that, and then he's done. But I think when he's done, they're going to introduce Miles Morales.
No, the question becomes: do they introduce Miles Morales on the MCU side, or this is a Sony? Because it's all a Sony property. But
so here's the deal: every Spider-Man movie even though it's produced by Kevin Feige, is ultimately a Sony movie. However, Marvel gets a big cut, and that's what the whole fight was when they pulled Spider-Man. They were like,
"We want a bigger cut."
Yeah, it was Marvel being like, "We want a bigger cut," and then Amy Pascal was like, "Oh, you want to play some games?" And she took Spider-Man away, and they were like, "Okay, let's negotiate." And they had this whole negotiation. It was a negotiation about like who gets how much money from toys or whatever. It was like toys and like other like that.
No, so the MCU, they got everything, if I have it correct, on the toy side. So they got all the money from the licensing of the toys and all of that stuff. But they were like, we want more theater money. And then that's when Amy Pascal said, we're going to play chicken for a little bit. And for a while she was winning, but then something happened. And I can't explain it, that brought Sony back to the table. And they're like, all right, we're playing ball. And I don't know what that thing was.
Well, you gotta remember that in terms of the age of business, like the way business works, is that like they will yank things, but really have no intention of yanking it. They're like, this is a card, this is a chess piece that I'm fucking everyone with. So when they demanded more money, Amy Pascal was like, "Oh, really? I could ruin this whole shit. I'll make Spider-Man 3 garbage." You know what I mean? And you have to understand, she is the shrewdest woman that ever exists. She's a badass, man. She's a badass.
She is a hack that's been given too much power, but I respect her hustle 100%.
You know what's funny? The Sony leaks. You know about the Sony? You know about the Sony email leaks?
Yeah.
They revealed all of racist. She says like horrible things about people, actors, and other talent. People thought her career was over, but she was contractually obligated to continue Spider-Man. And since then, she's rebuilt herself.
Yeah, why not? Just make a movie like Into the Spider-Verse, throw some hip hop in it, make them say some words in Spanish, and boom, you're back in. You're back in there.
And she's a shrewd. Oh man,
you know what?
I would not want to cross her.
She could probably teach Kathleen Kennedy how to revive your career because
she absolutely would. She absolutely would. Kathleen Kennedy is. Well, here's what it is. Kathleen Kennedy, I think, because she's like in her 60s or whatever. She was like. Let me coast. She's like, I'll become the head of Star Wars, but I'll coast and have these directors do whatever they want.
Right.
And of course, they just ran amok, particularly Rian Johnson. She was literally not paying attention to them. Her job is to produce them and handle them. And Amy Pascal's not like that. Amy Pascal's like, up in your man.
So here's the thing. I'm glad we're talking about this because Kathleen Kennedy is obviously a cautionary tale, and Amy Pascal is very, very shrewd in what she does. But I don't think Sony has as much leverage power as they assume they do sometimes. Because here's how this thing goes, right? It all relies on the house of cards built on the back of Venom, right? So if Venom bombs, if Venom 2 bombs, then they're like, all right, we'll switch our hopes to Morbius. But then if Morbius bombs, which it will, it's going to do good out the gate, but it will be remembered as a horrible film because Sony doesn't know how to do superheroes, man. Go ahead.
It's not even that. It's not like, who makes a Morbius movie? That's insane. Like when people are like, let's make a Harley Quinn or let's make a Squirrel Girl or Deadpool. I understand the appeal because they have fans, but I've never encountered someone. I'm like, who's your Marvel character? And they're like, Morbius.
Get out! You get out of this house right now. No, but you're looking at it with a rational mind. Shout out to Roxanne, Roy's sister. I would love to hear what she has to say about this. But I really do think that in that board meeting, they were like, Venom did well. Morbius will do well, too. And I'm telling you, it's a house of cards built on a weak franchise. Now, they're doing some things on the back end to make Venom 2 better, right? So they brought in, what's the guy's name, a famous caption actor, Schmeagol. You know who I'm referring to.
Oh my God, I know exactly what you're saying. It's not clicking right now. He also played Snoke.
Yes,
and he was the monkey. He was the monkey in Planet of the Apes.
And I'm not sure if he's directing it as well, but I'd have to look into that. So that was a good move on their part. I think they're gonna like try to make it not as campy, but at the end of the day, Venom is good because of his interaction with Spider-Man. Even when he didn't interact with him in the comics, when he had his own standalones, it was always you knew who he was because of the interactions he's had with Spider-Man, the conflicts he's had with Spider-Man. And that's what made it really cool when he became like an anti-hero. It's like, oh, he's not a bad guy anymore. You know,
I mean, honestly, the way Spider-Man, messes up Venom's life in the comic books,
yeah,
I would have definitely at least depicted that in the beginning.
Yeah.
Where it's like the reason why you don't have a career right now is because you try to lie about Spider-Man. But then not have Spider-Man in the rest of the movie. But I would have later on, toward the end, make it clear that Venom wants some sort of revenge. And let it end like that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. But here comes the problem. This is I believe this is what happened. Kevin Feige is like, no. He's like, absolutely not. He was like, you guys can take Spider-Man, but you will not attach us to any of that nonsense you've done in the past. And that's what they've done in the past. They had a director that warned them, like, we cannot introduce Venom right now. Don't do it. If we're not going to do it right, don't do it.
And Venom 2 better be Venom versus Spider-Man, or it doesn't make any sense. Like, he doesn't even have that many stories, man. Like, what's up?
No. I'm telling you honestly, man, it's not because I'm a Kevin Feige stan. He doesn't pay me. I don't get checks or anything like that. But I think he tried to warn them about Ghost Rider on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And it looked cool at first. And then you're left with this huge problem of like, well, what do we do with him now? Like where?
Here's what I'm saying. I respect Kevin Feige as a businessman and just like a badass, but I think he's the son of the devil. I think he does. Like, I think he drinks baby's blood. Those Q guys. I think he's part of that. Like,
he's what they're rallying against.
He's the guy you don't ever. But he's the guy in the boardroom you don't want to cross. He's basically Don Draper. He's Don Draper right now. He wears caps and suits, and he's like, I'm a simple guy. I'm just a simple guy. He's a bloodthirsty monster.
Yeah, the next shot is of him strangling an intern in the room, like the one leg kicking. No, it's true, dude. It's true. But he's shrewd as hell. He's like the type of guy you want to have helming the ship. And look, I'm not Roy. Me and you, we've been friends forever, but you've been wrong about so many things, and this is your chance to be right about it.
What are you talking about?
You've been wrong about DC publications outlasting Marvel. Now, here, if you'd have told me that
actually, because of their new thing, I think that because they fired all those editors, I think they're destined for death. But anyway,
if you'd have told you were wrong about the DCEU, you're wrong, just wrong about that. Just absolutely wrong.
I'm trying to phrase this as nice as possible. I could not have predicted that the director of Justice League's daughter would take her own life.
Okay, right. That had nothing to do with it. So,
God rest her soul. God rest her soul.
God rest her soul. And but the Snyder cut. If that's what you're resting your hopes on to save the DCU, you got this one chance. And I think ultimately
it's coming back. It's coming back in minds,
The DCU had problems before God rest her soul. Zack Snyder started to die. And I think that ultimately you're going to be wrong about the MCU Spider-Man and the impact that he's going to have. I mark my words. They will reset that character for the umpteenth billion time. And it will look more like the Tom Holland Spider-Man because it's the only one that makes sense besides the original iteration of Peter Parker. Everything they've done since Maximum Carnage has been complete nonsense. Complete nonsense with Spider-Man. You know it.
Oh, well, I was watching another YouTuber. I'm not going to get into who they were.
Right.
It's like one of those corporate YouTube channels. But they were like theorizing that they're going to adapt one more day for the movie. And I was like, that is the worst storyline friggin' ever. You know that storyline, right?
Yes.
Where Aunt May gets shot and Spider-Man sells his soul to the devil to not make it. I'm like, you better be wrong. I think you're wrong. You better be wrong, or I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna lose my freaking mind.
You know what? I don't think Kevin Feige has the balls to do something that bad. Just like I don't think he has.
I don't know.
I don't think he has the balls to do anything as good as Secret Wars. Like I don't think he has what it takes to look at that and go, Hickman, you were right. This is you've shown us the way. Every superhero has to die.
Yeah, no. I really don't think it's going to happen. But I don't know. Like it's I'm more excited for Spider-Man 3 than almost like there's. It's so funny. DC's fandom.
Yeah.
Marvel was totally silent, and I thought Marvel was going to announce things, particularly X-Men castings. Like during the time, they did nothing, and they just let DC think they were having their victory, and they were announcing all these movies. They got The Rock up there. The Rock's like, I'm gassed about my new movie, and it was just going on and on. And then Marvel just, Kevin Feige's an evil master, and he's like, let them have this week. And then, now that he's doing this, I cannot imagine. I'm more excited for this and Doctor Strange than any other movie. Like, you can have, there are rumors that, Green Lantern's coming back with Ryan Reynolds. There's, all sorts of crazy stuff. But there's nothing that's going to beat Spider-Man if all three Spider-Mans are there. And the Sinister Six. There's nothing that's going to be... we haven't even talked about Doctor Strange 2. We need to talk about Doctor Strange 2.
I mean, we haven't even talked about the weirdest casting, Jamie Foxx. Who cared about him in the other movie, right? Who cared about him? But it's like Kevin Feige's like, oh, by the way, you know that one obscure guy in that obscure role? He's going to be in it too.
So... Jamie Foxx has let us know he's not going to be the blue version.
Right.
He's going to be a different dimensions version, but it's going to be him, and he's going to have electro powers, right?
Yeah.
However, he is definitely the more charismatic villain as opposed to the Lizard.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or their version of Green Lantern. But if you notice, so check this out. Here's my whole theory. Okay? So we know who the first 3 Sinister Six members are.
Okay, name them.
And they're from Tom Holland's universe. So we got Michael Keaton as the Vulture.
Okay.
We've got Michael Mando as the Scorpion, as he's in the end credit scenes.
Right.
Or whatever. Who was my last one?
Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx?
No, Mysterio, because he faked his death, right?
No, he's dead.
No, are you kidding me? Are you making a joke right now? The most obvious thing that happened at the end of the movie is that he didn't really kill himself.
I think the most obvious thing about that is they can't afford to have Jake Gyllenhaal back, so he's probably really dead.
No, are you really? You want to put money on that, man? He's definitely alive.
I will put a 6-pack on it of your choice. Just no exotics.
You mean no White Claw? I'm a king of beers type of guy. I'm an American. God damn it. So those are the 3 Tom Holland universe guys, right?
Okay.
So then they're going to bring Jamie Foxx in, and he will be the representative of the Andrew Garfield universe.
Right. Okay. I can see it.
Right. And my thinking, my feeling, I'm really hoping this happens. Green Goblin, friggin' William Dafoe from the Maguire world. He was amazing. What are you talking about?
When's the last time you watched that movie?
Yo, are you kidding? You don't like his performance as Green Goblin?
I mean, I would like an updated version. I just remember his performance being...
I don't even know who you are anymore.
I just remember his performance being akin to a Power Ranger actor performance. But maybe
that's what...
Hold on.
That's what makes a good villain.
Maybe it'd be better. Maybe it'd be better now. Here's my pick for the Sinister Six. All right, so I'm going to take the first 3 that you said. I'm going to leave.
Oh wait, I didn't name the last one.
Oh, go for it.
That's 5.
Go.
And so here's what I'm hoping happens. I'm hoping that they cast a woman to play Olivia Octavius.
I could dig it.
And so she will represent the Miles Morales universe, and at that point you'll have representatives from every Spider-Man franchise right there.
I think that would actually be amazing, because I actually liked Olivia Octavius.
That was the best. That shock blew my mind.
Yeah, that was absolutely really.
What was your name again?
Her voice was so creepy too. She's like, "I see you, Peter." Very creepy.
And he's like, "Do your friends call you Doc Ock?" She goes, "No, my friends call me Liv. My enemies call me Doc Ock."
Did you like what you heard? Check out the full episode. Just click the link down below. And remember to like, share, and subscribe.